On this week's episode of the DayZ Podcast, we have Shawshank from the Camp Carnivore service. We'll be talking about DayZ's Cryptic Tweet, experimental patch 1.23, content creator feedback on Reddit, and always streams video about why people quit DayZ. All that and more on this week's episode of the DayZ Podcast. And we are live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And welcome to episode 167 of the DayZ Podcast. We are joined as always by Cobra. How you doing, buddy?
Yo, how you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Looks like the audio is all working fine. Foxy's typing in chat, Boydy cough. Are we good? Are we good? Is everything working? Someone type something?
Yep,
Yeah, you're good.
Yep, okay, good. We are good. We will introduce our guest in a second. I just want to quickly address the elephant in the room. Sadly, my boy Archie decided through the week to end his association with the podcast. We'll talk more about that in the community in the week to come, but I'm really sorry to be losing him from the show. I've got a lot of love for Archie, but he just needs a break from all of this. So Archie, all the best, mate, and yeah, keep your chin up, buddy. But we are joined by the one, the only Shawshank from Camp Carnivore. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad at all. Good to have you on, mate. So tell us a little bit about your server, Camp Carnivore.
Yeah, so Camp Carnivore is a hardcore server on PlayStation. It originally used to be a server called DayZ HP way back in the day, and it was an RP server. We were doing pretty good. We were one of the first RP servers on console a few years back and had a really good following. Eventually, things change, times change, and RP kind of gets stale on console with the limited resources that we have, and we basically kind of shut down the server a little bit. But I've always had this idea of having a extremely hard server on console, and things kind of like what's that one map? Anyways, yeah. So I rebooted HP, got rid of that, and started Camp Carnivore, and it's kind of like an homage back to the early days before community servers were a thing. The original owner, Turt, and I, there was a group called Camp Carnivore where we would hop on servers and kind of meet up with people on officials. And it's kind of an homage to that, back to our roots.
Yep. See, it's an interesting concept because Cobra, on PC, it's easy to go hardcore. There's mods everywhere that you can download, from monsters and all sorts of different things. Having to characters having to sleep and all the rest of it. But it's a much bigger challenge for a console server to go a hardcore PvE style, from what I can tell.
Oh no, I completely agree, but I think it doesn't help that you've got a limited maps anyway. You've only obviously got Livonia and Cherno, so unfortunately, as we always say, the console community do miss out on a hell of a lot. But no, fair play to you, mate. It's a hard old job to do. I think mainly console's really known for just official with the odd community servers that mainly most of the big community servers are on PC, aren't they? Because there's so much variety. So, fair play to you, mate. It's a hard job, and I'm sure it's going to go well for you.
So how did you go about doing it for a console server? What were the sort of things that you can do?
So obviously you guys know about the limitations that we have as far as modifications, maps. I basically took the fundamentals DayZ and amplified them because it's easy to get lost in loot play on console, especially. And I kind of wanted to shift the focus back to survival and how can I make that harder and make the environment around the player a little bit more immersed. So, I changed the spawns up on the coast a little bit, really dumbed down the loot. So there's no packaged food, canned food. We blocked all the water wells and all the gas stations except for one in Vybor, to kind of create a little hub for people if they do get a car. They still got to get gas for it, and basically everything that spawns in is already damaged. Easier because of the last update, so like that made my work a little bit cut out for me. But yeah, those are kind of just a few things here and there that we've put towards the server to make it more unique and kind of stick out a little bit.
So just for those who don't understand, how limited are you guys in what you can access in the files and so on to play with the settings and try to make it more hardcore?
Purely XML and JavaScript files. So whatever we can do in the types, spawnable types, events, pretty much what we're stuck to.
I'm guessing you're pretty much a big fan of the likes of Don Sibley and Project Lemons and what's his name, Beelzebub, or I've forgotten. I should know his name, but yeah, those people who are kind of pushing the boundaries with what people thought you could do with a lot of those files.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Scale Speeder, Balshad, definitely Don Sibley.
Balshad, yeah.
They all kind of reignite the imagination almost, and it kind of pushed the envelope to what actually is possible on console and opens the doorway to many avenues of changing the game that weren't really thought of to begin with.
I wouldn't put too much faith in that Scale Speeder guy. I hear all of his content scripted in any case, isn't it, Cobra?
I'm not going to say that, mate. Scale is a legend, mate. He's a fucking legend, that boy.
Mate, if I have to throw shade at him, he throws so much fucking shade at... There we go, I swore already. You guys in chat, you've got to ride me. We're trying to be more advertiser friendly. We don't want that demonetization symbol. So ride me for my vulgarities. I need to speak more posh.
Mate, you just need to stop bloody swearing, mate. That's it.
No, look, he swears when he says that. I've got no hope of being a good, respectable member of the community. So
you know, I feel bad for you sometimes.
Yeah, every week's the same, mate. Every week's the same.
You pay for your sins, and as a young man, I did a lot of sins. So everything that's coming my way thoroughly deserved, and that's why I try to do good now. You know, as you get older, a bit closer to death and all the rest of it, you just kind of like, I should be making sure I've got a few more ticks in the old balance book, as opposed to all the crosses I got when I was young. But yeah, no, it's amazing what Scale Speeder and Don and all the rest of them have shown. Like, I firmly believe, Cobra, that if it hadn't have been for console DayZ, modders can do a lot with other stuff that I don't really understand. But you know, outside of playing with those sort of things, those guys, by the sheer necessity of that was all that they could access, have really reinvigorated modding. You know, I know there's some of the purists are like, that's not modding when you're just playing with the... No, get off your hobby horse. It is. It's amazing what they're doing, Cobra.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, this is interesting with Shaw here, because as my knowledge is not fantastic on console. Yes, I do play console PS5 every now and then. Yes, I came from that. But my knowledge is mainly on PC. So what I said earlier around about communities on the console side of life, I've only really ever known the community type servers on PC. So I'm not really an authority on that side of life. So I'm sure you can give us a bit more of a heads up as to how difficult that journey has been.
Yeah, it's definitely been interesting, especially when we first kind of started out as an RP server that was fairly popular. I had great help from Huber, which is in your guys' Discord all the time. Yep. He's been such an amazing asset for the server for such a long time, and as a friend. So kind of a shout out to him. He's really pushed, just me as a person and modding and seeing what we can do, and just that creative mindset. Just being around somebody like that has always been great. But also it does come with its challenges as far as the coding side, which is in and of itself insane, because every time you change something, you have to do a reset. Then if something's wrong, it throws the whole code off, and sometimes it throws the server in a loop. You don't really see what you're doing until after the fact, and so most of the time you're kind of shooting in the dark.
What's it like whenever a patch updates for you guys and girls over there on console? Because so much of your stuff does rely on those basic scripts, and when an update comes and I'm guessing overwrites everything and changes perhaps some of the background code, it must be difficult going through all of those lines of code to try and find it.
It is, yeah. You can only prepare so much. A lot of the time you just gotta prep for the updates. So I kind of save all the code snippets that I've altered, and then if it can translate into the new update, cool. If it doesn't, then I got to set aside a weekend or after hours when I get home from work to kind of do it. And that's pretty much the biggest headache of console coding is the big updates. You can either choose to wipe and start fresh, or kind of build off of something that you already have if it's possible.
One of the things that kind of worries me a little bit for the console community, Cobra, is, and Skullspeeder, I see you in chat there, mate, so I'd appreciate your input on this, but I know one of the things that really revolutionized what they could do, like I saw B in chat there mentioning Project Lemon's Sigoria map, which is basically just a revamped Churnerus map, where he's used Inclement Dab's DayZ editor tool, I believe, to add stuff and do basically a modded map that isn't really a modded map. It's kind of weird how it all works, and that I wish there was someone on who understood it better. I hope maybe you do, Shawshank. But one of the problems they have is that they're reliant on a third-party software, which is the DayZ editor mod. And I know that went down for a while there, didn't it, Carnivore? Sorry, Shawshank. Dab hadn't done an update, or there was some problems with it, and that basically limited what you guys over there on console could do, because you're all dependent on something. And I would love to see DayZ actually release a inherent map tool or something that that people from console could use.
Yeah, it would be great to see an official tool released by the developers to kind of help us out, because personally I'm on Mac, and so that alone kind of sets me aside, because PC, obviously you have Windows and you can run
you're
editor.
Get a lot of hate just for admitting you're on a Mac computer.
I know, right? Yeah, quick story behind that one. I got the Mac because I knew if I got a PC, I just bought a PlayStation 5 too, so I bought it mostly for work. And if I got a PC, then I would be spending more time on the games than actually working. So
you're a smart man. You know your weaknesses and you planned around it. That's smart. 10 out of 10 for that, buddy.
That would have taken all my time. I would have become lazy, not wanting to work. So I was just like, I'll just get a Mac and do what I need to do on it, and go from there. And that in itself is a challenge too, because like I said, Huber had a PC and he was helping us build everything with the JSON files and objects, and building custom spots on Chernarus and Livonia for us. And then I have a buddy now that helps us out, and his name's Bloody Panther, and he builds all this stuff now for us too. But that is a big challenge as well, is not having all the resources. You kind of got to spend $1,200, $1,500 for a gaming PC just to run editor.
Crazy stuff, isn't it?
Yeah,
crazy.
I see DayZ Hub in chat there saying the object spawner changed everything with console customization. So hopefully that there's going to be some stuff coming there to really give you guys a bit of a leg up, because modding has been the background or the backbone of the PC community. There's so much variety between servers now. You've got almost anything, some absolutely insane things as well. We a while back we talked about that server where the characters are all like Japanese anime characters and all the rest of it, and I was like, I did not even know you could do that in DayZ. So the more you know. But yeah, It's honestly like as an ex-military guy. Well, there we go. If you're playing podcast bingo, back when I was in the army, but we always had a saying: improvise, adapt, and overcome. You probably heard something similar yourself, Cobra, and that's one of the things I love about console is the whole approach to modding, and that is improvise, adapt, and overcome. Okay, this is all we've got to work with. What can we do? And there's some absolute heroes of the console community, isn't there, Shawshank?
There is, yeah. There's definitely a lot of people that I look up to, to keep me on my feet, push me in the right direction, and kind of show me. It's nice too because at the end of the day, it is a really good resource for creative block. Just having these kinds of people around, just to constantly watch them, get their input, see how they operate on these platforms. So I think there's a really good opportunity in that as well, to maybe push developers to create tools for such a big part of the community that's often forgotten.
I was just reading what Scale Speeder put in their Armory Forger as a built-in editor. It runs fine on console. That's more probably what we need, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And that's great to hear that it runs fine on console. But what about for creating actual maps? Is that what that editor will do, or is it just a map editor? You can edit the existing maps, because that's what I would really love to see, is a way that these awesome maps that we've got access to. There's two in testing at the moment, Cobra, Azalea. Apologies to Ollie Pollies for last week as well. He was meant to be our guest, but we've got him rescheduled for November 4th. He did send a thank you to everyone who's doing his playtest at the moment, as well as Bitterroot going through it. And, you poor buggers on console must just salivate looking at some of the maps we've got, Shawshank.
Oh, all the time. You got to keep yourself from getting jealous of it. And I don't really understand why new maps haven't come out to keep console fresh. We lost a lot of player base just because of how stale it's gotten. I mean, you can only reuse a map so many times, and we reused Trinaris and Livonia for a couple of years now. You can only squeeze so much out of those before they get boring and stale, and you can only come up with so many things. So hopefully, like we were kind of talking about earlier, a map rework of some sorts, or just getting like Deer Isle or something like that, or Namalsk would just be amazing for console, and just kind of breathe some new life into it.
Yeah, I agree with you that, mate. Just even one of them, even if it's just one or the other, something. They need something.
And we talk about it a lot on the show, Shawshank, but I don't know why they haven't released more maps officially. There's obviously a reason. If I ever somehow got the chance to talk to the CEO of BI, that'd be a question I ask. Do you not like money? Because a simple, $15 US or whatever the price for a DLC is map, and they've got a number of maps under their library, would be amazing. And even, we talk about this a lot, but some people might just be finding the show for the first time. A community DLC, they do it for Armor all the time. Why hasn't there been one for DayZ? I don't understand that. No one's been able to give me an answer that makes sense, because I just think it would be cash money, cha-ching, cha-ching. And money for them, money for the people who create it, and great for the community.
Yeah, 100% agree on that one. I mean, at the end of the day, $15 for a brand new map that you could play on for a year or two is definitely worth it in my eyes, especially if it was one that was created by the community. Just like you were saying, it's all positives in that. I don't see any cons to it.
And you said a very important point there, or he did, Cobra, in that if it was a community one, if you got the right people behind it, then there's so many names you can think of, the people who are just beloved in the community, as Mondian, Wobo, people like that, Scale Speeder, and if they were involved somehow, the community would just go crazy for it, wouldn't they?
Oh, without doubt, mate. Maybe this is part of a grand plan, mate. Who knows what the next few announcements will be?
There has to be, mate. There has to be, because of course they like money, but it just it boggles my mind. So back to your server, Shawshank. What's the appetite like for? It's more of a PvE server, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So I try to kind of touch all aspects on it. Coming from RP, I would love to keep something like that around. But just the current state of the game, I kind of like to go towards PvE. That's my play style, and we kind of created the server to cater to what we would want to play and what we would like to see in a server. And yeah, just focus on the environment is kind of key to switching up that gameplay as much as possible when it comes to like bears, wolves, the weather.
I would love to see some footage from something like that, just how it plays, because like we said, we've got probably one of the most famous PvE servers in our community would probably be Helkiana's server, and Helkiana's a modding goddess, and she runs her own server, so the things that she does on that, but yeah, so what sort of things have you done to make it challenging, because it's not just you can't just do one thing. There's a lot more goes into a PvE server. So what's some of the stuff that you've done to make your server more interesting for those looking for that style of gameplay?
Yeah, so things I've kind of done to tweak the server the best that I can, it being on console, would be removing all the water wells by covering them up with dirt or hay stacks, covering up all the gas stations, taking away all packaged food, canned food, looking around the map for actual food like deer, bears, wolves, kind of adds in back to the hunting, decreasing ammo spawns to make hunting a little bit more thought out. Everything is kind of focused on the thought process instead of just reacting because, I'll find ammo later or I'll find food later. I've taken everything back and kind of started from square one of what made me fall in love with DayZ in the first place. Kind of that feeling of you first landed on the beach and you're like, what do I do? Where do I go? I don't know what the map says. I don't know what all these signs mean. Kind of touching back into that feeling almost of the unknown, and kind of expanded on that as far as changing the environment as much as I can, like the rain, using the JSON files to create new areas, but also making sure I don't overdo it so it keeps that realism aspect to it.
Yeah.
Seeing in chat there, Mackay was correcting me that the MAG PvE servers are huge. Willow Glade has never been big. Maybe because I don't play it that much, but that's why. But yeah, it's great that you're thinking of ways to do it, because one of the tired old tropes, even with some of the PC ones, Shawshank, is they just bump up the difficulty and reduce the amount of food. As in make the infected more dangerous, reduce the amount of food, and they call that a hardcore PvE server. But there's so many other aspects to it, and it's great that you guys are coming up with it. Is your community fairly big?
At one point, it was. It kind of died off, to be completely honest, a little bit, and it became a server that my friends and I would play on, and then we kept it open for anybody else that wanted to join. And we've made some new friends along the way doing that. But, some exposure from Lycos on Conquest and using Discord and then hopping on here. Hopefully we can gain that traction that we once had, by keeping it unique and just kind of spreading the word around.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Have you got your links in chat, Boydy?
Links?
i.e. to Discord and stuff.
Yeah, I just linked to Shawshank's Camp Carnivore server there just before. So if you are wanting to check it out, it's also in the description of the video, folks. but there's a link in the chat as well to the Camp Carnivore. I like the logo for it as well, mate. That sort of blood red jaws and all the rest of it. And yeah, I had a bit of fun playing with the thumbnail or the little thing that we've got up there. Just for chat as well, we've gotten rid of the chat box on the actual stream. Because my man Connor, who's helping me with the editing now, pointed out that, yeah, YouTube loves to find any reason possible to demonetize you so they can keep all the money themselves. And any swear words and so on in chat, if they pop up on the screen, well, YouTube has these lovely algorithms that can detect naughty words on in text on screens, even though they won't tell you where they detect them. You've got to go through and work that out yourself, somehow. But yeah, so we're trialing a new format now where we have a little pop-up that shows what we're talking about at the time, which for those of you who are watching this on the update, this is a way for us to better do timestamps for you all in the future. So, yay, timestamps. That'll make everyone happy. Shawshank, is there anything else you want to tell us about your server, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about the server all day. I guess one of the biggest controversial things that we do have on the server that for some reason just popped back in my mind, that sort of started the downhill spiral of Camp Carnivore in general, was we don't have any base building on there or wooden crates. It's purely just tents, barrels, and makeshift shelters.
So
just
you basically went for the old school early access DayZ.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's some people like it, some people don't, but I think it's such a unique approach back to kind of the roots of DayZ, of there's constantly being on your toes and the adrenaline of my camp could be gone the next day. I could wake up and everything's just gone. And it really makes you think where you want to live, how you operate as a survivor in the map. It creates just the focus back on survival instead of just loot play and gunplay.
So there's been a lot of the adventure type servers in the last few, maybe 5-6 months. I play a lot of them now. No bases, no real storage capability other than, you can have the odd crate here and there, but shelters and whatever else. But no, I do think, I think the community itself has become, if you look at official servers, for one, you will hardly find any active bases on official servers these days. And that's because they're so easy to raid.
Yeah.
You put them up for one day, roughly. I'll give you maybe 1-2 days tops, and that's going to get hit. So a lot of people leave DayZ, which we'll bring on to something else a bit later, always streams a bit. But a lot of people leave DayZ because the base building is a pain in the arse, especially on official.
It is.
So,
the improvised shelter is so underrated, Cobra.
Oh, agreed, mate. Agreed. I do use them quite a bit. The only problem is, though, like I said, when I go searching, which I do live streams on searching for stuff like this, I don't look at any of that. I look at color system and I look at shapes, and I find that stuff so easy.
There are two very, very good videos on what Cobra is talking about here. One by King Alex, who was a sniper in the British Army. He's got a video about it, and also some dickhead. Oh, there we go. I just demonetization. Some guy named Boydy did one many, many years ago about why things are seen: shape, shadow, silhouette, surface, spacing, and movement. The 5 S's and an M. I think there's different terminology for it. King Alex's video, I think he's got the more up-to-date versions of it. But exactly what Cobra was talking about. If you know what to look for, or to know what stands out, it's a lot easier to find things. So explain a bit more, Cobra.
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those skills. So you're either only going to learn this in some form of governmental role or the army, unless you've had some kind of specific training elsewhere. But basically, the way to I'm going to give out all the secrets here. The way to locate objects, player-made objects, other than a dig site, and even that, there's a way around that. is not to look for the obvious. So if you're looking for bases, you do not need to look for big brown planks of wood stacked 2 tall, 3 tall. You need to look for any different color variant in the trees or woods. Any slight different variant, you need to go and have a look at that. It's the same with shapes. Trees are very shaped very, very, there's a special way. Trees are easy to see the type of different shapes. There's only 2 or 3 different variations really in the game. So if you're in a wood and you see a very different shape, it takes a split second to say, right, I need to go and check that out. And what you will invariably find is anything that is not an asset in the game, you're going to find immediately by doing it that way. So the shelters, for instance, the shelters themselves, now this is interesting. When they first brought in the shelters, especially the stick shelters, which you would think are the most camoed versions in the game, they are actually the most easy for me to spot because it's a slight different color variation. So I can spot them from a long, long way away. I mean, Sly's in the channel. Sly's watching now. He'll tell you. He's been on some live runs. I mean, I've shown him how to do it. And, it's so easy to spot that. But going back to the original conversation, the fact of the matter is, I do think, given the state of base building and the fact you're going to get hit every 2 minutes, especially on on official servers, that is definitely the way to go, how you're doing it. It just brightens up the game a little bit. If you're carrying stuff in your infantry, the only thing you need to be careful of is you don't die. That's it. If you die, you lose the whole lot, as you know.
Yep.
So, it takes away the issues of popcorning, people finding your stuff and just getting rid of everything, destroying everything you spent 4 or 5 days building. It takes all that grief away. So I'm all for that. I do like it. But there's another argument here. Doesn't this also show that there's work still to be done on raiding and base building in DayZ? And if that can be done
massively,
yeah, right,
massive difference to the whole community. That'd bring back loads of people, I'll tell you now.
And it would be awesome to see a base building overhaul.
Yes.
Come to DayZ official at some point, hopefully sooner than later. Just because of how easy they've made it now with the new explosives and things of that sort. So that would definitely be at the top of my wish list to hopefully see maybe next year and the years to come, hopefully. And it's one of those things that people have been asking for a long time, especially on console. Is the base building aspect have a total revamp?
And that's the problem. That's the other problem I find. So on console, because it's so easy, every time I go on PS5, I always find dupers or duper bases. And that is the problem with it, because we don't really have a lot of that on PC. We have different issues. But the problem is, if you've got just one duper on the server you're playing, and which I'm focusing on official here, there is no base safe. There is no base. They're just going to dupe a bag of nades and they're in straight off, and that there defeats any object of any kind of base building, and we have spoke about this year on year. I remember last year we spoke about this and we did put it forward to the dev team then, and we were saying, well, look, at least change the way that you can place fences and watchtowers, because any slight uneven ground, it's not going to let you put that stuff down unless you've got, build anywhere mod or whatever, which you don't have on official servers. So, they took the hacksaw raid away for the combination lock, which was great. But all the time you've got grenades and they're easy to find. You've got the M79, 10 of those now will take one of those gates down straight away, explosive rounds. So there are so many variants that the only pain in the arse now is the fact that if you use melee weapons, you're looking at 800 plus slaps to break in on one gate.
Yeah.
So, for me, I see why you've done it, mate. I completely see why you've done it.
Yeah, and also it's kind of like a double-edged sword at that point. Not having any bases, it kind of makes you appreciate the map a little bit more, makes you a little bit more crafty as well. Going back to it makes you think everything through, everything that you're going to be doing. Does that loot that you spent getting, because it is a lot harder to find loot on the server. If you do die, it's just that much more of a grieving moment, because you're just like, man, now I gotta go through all this again. And the coast is definitely the hardest on Camp Carnivore. It's pretty unforgiving. especially because I don't spawn
that's
any
the hard
packaged
part
food
to balance.
whatsoever.
That's the hard
Yeah.
part I
And that-
found with any
that is the
PvE
hard
server
part.
or hardcore server is it's easy to make freshborns to suffer, but once you break through that initially, spawn in low health and all the rest of it, it becomes so much easier. And that's the big challenge I found for a lot of hardcore servers too. How do you make it difficult
is.
down the line without just making everything rare as fucking hen's teeth?
Well, do you remember that
Yeah,
server? Do you remember that band server? Play it once, or is it Memento Mori?
Yep.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
Right. So
I thought that was a
played that
great
few
idea.
times. Oh, it's a great idea. I've played that a few times, and every time I played it, it's so easy to complete. It's a hardcore, and obviously any death, that's it, you're banned until the next wipe. But the fact of the matter is, if you've got an idea of the basics, if you can survive the first 10 minutes around the coast, mate, the rest of it is simple. The rest of it is easy. So how do you
and
feel
then it
about
becomes
that?
where do you set the bar between the people who have there are some people who play DayZ. Like, I won't throw shade at anyone, but you see some who complain about some of the most basic mechanics of, I'm always getting a flu or something like that. And either they know it or they just can't be bothered to do the boring stuff of sitting down, drying your clothes out, making sure you're in the white with food and all the rest of it. So you've got that natural immunity in that. But if you make it too hard, then lower skilled people won't even bother trying your server. But how do you keep that challenge there for, the likes of, for me, probably the hardest server is one which is high pop, full of PvP chads, because I will just die over and over and over again. I'm basically a loot delivery system. But when it comes to the survival aspects of it, I would say I'd probably be a top 1%er of the game. There's not much that can throw me off my game on how to survive, especially as a freshborn. I know the basics. I know how the dynamic loot, I know how the dynamic spawn system works. Wait a while in a town, about 10 minutes or so, and then go back and check all the trees. You can't do it on Livonia, obviously, because no fruit spawns on Livonia. But Livonia, I just modify it. I'd look for a blade and stones and kill an animal, because there's usually a pig or something like that around there. And get those bones, and then I go fishing until I'm full. So I've worked out how to adapt to the two main styles. But yeah, if you make that too hard, then the freshies can't, or the lower skilled people can't survive it. And it's as you're saying with your server, Shawshank, it's hard to keep players there because hardcore is a grind, and again, it ties into why people quit DayZ.
Yeah, and the other main thing that we're kind of dealing with right now too is once we do make it out of the coast and we kind of go more towards inland, get all our gear up, once we do that, what's next? Because we have all this survivors loot that we have, so only like maybe tier 2 or 3 weapons. How do we make it more difficult for the players that have been living in this world for days now? How do we make it more difficult for them instead of just difficult just starting out? And it's trying to find that balance of, is it too much? Is it too little? What can we add? Especially being on console, what can we put into the game that kind of keeps the seasoned players on their toes once they've made it inland and, kind of have like a little stash spot set up? Like, what can we do to keep it interesting or to change the environment around them to be more threatening?
Yeah.
So if I take it, you've got missions and things going on down there, sure, have you?
As of right now, not quite yet. It's been in the works for a little bit, just trying to figure out the balancing aspect of it. Because at the end of the day, the main focus is player versus the environment. But missions are always talked about when we kind of link up and see, well, what are we going to do next with the server? But
That's
definitely.
hard. Yeah,
definitely a challenge. Just trying to figure out trying to just keep the seasoned people on their feet once they have kind of established their player.
Oh, do you know what? That's just made me think of something here. Check this out for a second, right? So I disagreed with Boydy and pretty much everybody else. We had a conversation about 6 months ago on the podcast, right? And Boydy was saying, the longer you survive in DayZ, you should have some kind of additional benefits in game, so that your player is able to. Do you remember this conversation, Boydy? So if you're fishing, for instance, you become an expert.
I can better remember what I had for dinner last night, so I'll trust you.
So for me, I was always down the line of, no, it should be completely organic. You know, if you're good, you're good. If you need to get better, you need to get better. But I think it was the same kind of conversation around the scum system, where depending on how long you've been in and how many kills you've got and whatever else going on, you get a better skill level already added to your character. So for me, maybe this is a situation. So it could probably work under those conditions, because if you've been alive for 4 or 5 weeks and you've got a superior skill level to a lot of stuff, when you die, that there does become a pain in the ass to start all over again.
I think Darkwing just summed it up in chat there, the soft skills, because I've talked about this a lot. There are certain things I think should never, ever be affected. It should come down to your actual real life experience in getting better with PvP and things like that. But the example I use is the cold resistance on the mollusk. That's where I like what Adam did there. With the longer your character is alive, the more resistant. So if you wait long enough and then you do the swim to the 2 outposts, it's easier when you've got that higher cold resistance. Whereas and then if your character dies, you lose it all and you've got to start over again. But I don't like I don't mind it in Scum. It works perfect in Scum because it's a more gamey sort of system. But I don't like it for certain skills, especially ones that affect things like PvP, camouflage, and things like
absolutely.
that.
I'd never agree to that. I completely agree with that. I've always been dead against that. I remember we had this conversation a couple of times. I was like, what are you talking about? You can't do that for DayZ.
Yeah.
Take it all away.
But exactly what you said, Cobra, is why I think about, because it adds that little bit of, if I die here, I'm going to lose all these valuable soft skills I've earned.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe that would be, I mean, this is a real difficult, there is no great answer to this. So how do you keep long-term players on a server when they've got the best guns, they've run around for 3-4 weeks, they've got everything that their loadout they want? How do you keep them interested on a PvE server?
Let us know in the comments below, chat. If you're watching this, let us know your ideas for it. Because and remember as well that we're talking console as well. They don't have access to a lot of the mods that are out there for PC. Survivor missions and airdrops and things like that. So let us know your ideas. We'd love to hear your feedback. It'd be maybe a good topic to revisit in the future, because that's the grand question. How do you keep people interested in your server? Everyone gets bored and switches up. You see the ebbs and flows of, you said you're going through a bit of a rut at the moment with Camp Carnivore. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, back when we had an RP server, we had a season called Witness, right? And we focused more on like the atmospheric side of DayZ with fog and adjusting the light. And Huber built this amazing abandoned lab on Scaliste Island, right? And he put old tanks around there, old military assets. The lab was on the island with fog all around it. That was a static gas zone, and we were able to spawn in special loot. But the biggest catch to it was we put a bridge to Scaliste, but we made it kind of like a parkour themed, to where you'd have to jump on X, Y, and Z, hurdle over this, go through zombies, but you're on this small bridge just to get to the island to get that high tier loot, right? And the cool aspect of it was, since it was an RP server, this was the area to go PvP, right? This was the area to go get the loot that you wanted and run from where our zone was, the safe zone, all the way there. We had custom bear spawns, wolf spawns, zombies, and it was a real struggle just to get to the island, but the fight wasn't over. And that's how we kind of kept players interested on the server. It was super fun. and now we're trying to find new ways to kind of implement that on Camp Carnivore, and that's kind of like the idea that we wanted to gravitate towards was how can we make getting this loot interesting instead of just running into Northwest or Pavlovo, just to get this high tier loot. Maybe it's like, well, we can guarantee you loot, but you have to go through these obstacles to get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll get you, mate.
We are going to have to move on with the topics because it's probably going to be a bit longer. I know that'll upset you, Cobra, but it's going to be longer by necessity because we cannot not talk about the big news that came out during the week, which is DayZ Experimental releasing October 5th and that rework of the Northwest Airfield. Oh my God, that just looks so good.
Absolutely stunning.
What was the console community reaction to it, Shawshank?
Man, every time we get something new, it's like Christmas Day for console. Way different than PC, because PC, there's always new content being created by everybody.
I'm sorry, I've got this image in my mind, Cobra. Sorry to cut you off, Shawshank. There's your DayZ bingo. Boydie interrupts a guest. The PC community, where like the kids in Hogwarts at Halloween or something like that. There's food everywhere, and the poor old console community is like Oliver Twist.
Exactly.
Please, sir, may I have some more?
Can I have some more? Yeah. It's exactly like that. I mean, every time it comes out, just all the chats are blowing up. Especially with like the treasure hunt that you guys had going on with the pictures. It's like, oh, like this is real. No way, we're actually getting some new stuff for once. We waited months for it.
I just want to give a quick shout out to our 87.8 community. That little thread, I don't know if you were following it, Cobra. Man, it was so good. I love it when... shout out to Scotty and the team at DayZ because when they do things like this, the last really big one that I can recall was the Yellow King and the map and the, over here where Utes Island was and all the rest of it. It really invigorates the community, and just seeing, just in our Discord alone, everyone going absolutely batshit crazy over that image was just beautiful. I'm going to get it up on the stream now. So those of you who don't know what we're talking about, although if you're watching the DayZ podcast and you don't know what we're talking about, I'd be very surprised.
Got a bit of a problem.
Here we go. Let's get this image up because it was
Yeah, and it gets to the point too when I was at work watching this all unfold, and my boss was wondering why I was in the bathroom for so long on multiple times, just watching this chat go through and with the fine-tooth comb, just go over the whole storyboard pretty much of that picture that they released.
Well, this is interesting because when this come out, I think I was actually live at the time, and it generated a hell of a lot of chat in my in one of my live streams. And it's interesting because there's a couple of hints here. There's a couple of guessing hints here that a lot of people are thinking, hold on, is there 3 entrances? Is there 3 bunkers? Is it 1 bunker? What is it? So yeah.
Did you watch Wobos breakdown video? Because I know there's a lot of people who do it, but sorry to the rest of you, you're good, but you're good, and then there's Wobo. And his breakdown was insane. Like, he went and visited the locations. He confirmed that 2 of them are actual locations that are there now, but one, this one in the middle here, number 2 up there, is something that is not there at the moment. And he even his video talking about this little beret on the top of the whiteboard. I am honestly as blind as a bat. The whole thing with the crossbow hidden in the crates proved that last time. The lad saying there's a crossbow there, and I'm like, what bloody crossbow? I can't. Oh, there is a crossbow. Yeah. I definitely am not eagle eyes on the high ground. But and again, our community as well was spotting things as well. And probably the one that I was proud of for myself, which upset Lad, was this image down here. That really does to me look like airdrops are coming to DayZ. And the reason I say that is I might bring up Wobos' video because he zoomed right in on it, and I am totally unprepared. But it's the way that they're tied. I haven't even seen a mod do it, but if you've had experience with underslung cargoes and things like that, it looks quite of like the way these nets are on the images, doesn't it, Cobra? The way that it kind of goes up to a point, and that point is where it would be tied to either a parachute or slung underneath a helicopter or something. And that's what made me think, are we getting airdrops in DayZ?
I think there's quite a few hidden little bits here that could mean a number of things. So I'm not getting too carried away with this because who knows exactly. I mean, look, I'm expecting a couple of surprises here. It looks quite simple, some of that. But there's going to be stuff that none of us have caught here. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, like, what is that POY down there? Is that a statue? Is that actually a plane? You know, it's like we don't know until it comes out, obviously. But just every picture stirs up speculation.
And that's the beauty of the community getting this type of information, because everyone's going to have an opinion. It generates a lot of debate. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. When it drops, we're all going there. There's going to be carnage in the first week of that. Carnage up in that place. So it's going to be interesting, especially for us content creators.
Yeah, right. And then the whole idea of the tunnel system underneath.
Yeah. Now, there's another thing. Are you going to need night vision? I assume you would. Who knows? You know, are you? Is it going to be half lit? I don't know. Lots of interesting questions there. Loads of interesting questions. But the airdrops, well, you know, could be interesting as well. Let's see. When's it due, Boyd? Has it got a date on that yet? I didn't read
October
the
5th.
ins and out.
And that was from the little bit of crypto stuff that Scotty did, but that was linking to that date. So, yeah, we will see what happens with that. But so much stuff in there. I had to laugh at the I don't know what I've done, but I've managed to break the overlay by switching out before. But I'll switch back to it again. This was I just thought it was quite funny. In this image down the bottom here, the old camo building. Now this one made me laugh. For those of you who are OGs of early access DayZ, way back. The little turd burglars who like to work out ways to exploit anything worked out that you could get under the floor of the camo building, which is this one here. And what would happen is you would go in there looking for loot, and they would pop through the wall, pop up from underneath the floor, and shoot you. You had no idea they were in there. There were ways you could like run at the wall and angle or whatever to see if anyone was hiding in there. And usually there always was on pretty much every server. But it's kind of irony, and I wonder whether they did it by choice. But the fact that they're adding an underground area under a building that was so synonymous with it, the problem was that bad that Brian Hicks made the decision at the time to turn off loot to the camo building. I'm pretty sure we went... correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure we went years without loot spawning in that building. For that reason. It was one of the few buildings that it could happen in, so they just turned off loot so that no one would have a reason to want to go in there, and then the little turd burglars who would hide under the floors there couldn't kill you by when you went in the building. And now it's going to get a dedicated proper underground area. So I just thought that was funny.
It does look good, mate. I'm looking forward to it. I think there's more to come as well, though.
I hope so. I really do. I know Lad was not a fan of, and not just Lad, but there's a few people. Like, I did say to them, you know, what about console? That, you know, they're really going to enjoy a proper airdrop mechanic. I don't know. Has anyone worked out anything for console in the way of doing airdrops or anything, Shawshank?
The only thing that we can kind of get to simulate that as best as we can is the JSON files. On the editor. It's basically just build a quote unquote airdrop and then reset the server, and it spawns in the location that we choose to have it at.
So completely a pain in the bum. Yeah,
completely a pain. Yep.
Yeah. So I get where they're coming from. That this isn't really DayZ per se. I think Lad made the comment that it's a bit like a Rust sort of thing. I don't quite agree with that. I think if it's done well, it can be a very valuable resource for people, to be able to do something with the engine, to just be able to, there's ways you can do it. We see it already. Usually they're massive organic places of interest as well. Whenever there's an airdrop, Cobra, on any server that has airdrops and there's an announcement system, whether it be an in-game message or you have to have a radio on you, which is my preferred method, so you can hear the transmission coming in. But you'll end up with people flocking. So if you want a bit of PvP, go to the airdrop, go to that event, and there'll be people everywhere.
Woody, you did say something that kind of caught my attention there for a second. You said transmission. And if I can recall, the radios have kind of been a focus between the last screenshot that we got and then the one from yesterday. Not screenshot, trailer that we got for 1.22, and as well as the transceiver in the last kind of teaser that they did. I wonder if they're going to do something to kind of maybe hint towards the airdrops and using a transceiver. And if that makes any sense.
What I am hoping for. We also hoped that they would do something better for announcing the airstrikes, Shawshank, because the flares are great at nighttime, but during the day, unless you're in that, and Wobos got a great video on this as well. It shows just how funky the artillery sound in the distance can be. Depending on where you are on the map, you may or may not hear the artillery being fired. But that flare during the day just doesn't stand out enough. And I was hoping that even if it was just an air raid siren, maybe something in the town you're in. Because I know they do need a car battery in them to make the announcer work and that. But if you had a radio on the default channel, 87.8, survivorfm.com, you got an announcement that an air raid was coming and it was in your area. So you knew to be a bit more alert. Because anything that can encourage people to have their radios on, Shawshank, is a win for me, because it just creates more opportunities. Like when you're on a server where it happens, there's something there. The amount of times I've heard funny interactions because someone doesn't realize they've got their radio on and they're talking in game to someone, and you hear them talking and you're like, what's going on? What's happening here? Especially when it's wait, I'm friendly. And it adds a bit of life to a server that doesn't just have to revolve around hearing gunshots.
Right. And I would love to see a larger focus on radios just in general. I don't know how they would make that work. Imagination would be great for that. But, I think there's potential there as well.
So we've got a load to add to the wish list now, haven't we? Base building, overhaul, radios. I think do you know what though? I do think there's something else coming as well, I think it's not just the airfield. I think there's something else.
What do you think?
I can't say that because I don't know, but I think there's going to be something else happening. I don't know what. I just got this funny feeling that there's something bigger than that about to happen.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? We talk about that sort of stuff quite a lot here, folks, but either way, absolutely hyped. If you haven't already, go check out Wobos' video. The guy is just god tier. But yeah. Okay, what else have we got? Yes, guys, I am becoming a shill. I want money because I want a bit more money to do things for the community, like the Bitterroot server that we've got up here in Australia at the moment. We're able to do that because of the generous support of our YouTube members and donators and everyone else who helps us out here. But we're also looking at some other ones, and I've signed up as an affiliate with Humble Bundle, and you've probably been noticing I'm sharing a few. Give me feedback, guys. I don't want to ruin the vibe of it, but I understand times are tough, and a great way to get some money for our community is by having a few deals like this. And the one that I chose to highlight this week is the Humble Bundle Complete Godot Software Bundle. The reason I chose this one is for those of you who have been following Road to Vostok, he was developing his game on the Unity engine. And I think even most gamers, mums and dads, have probably heard of the absolute shit fight that was the Unity engine the last couple of weeks. So he has decided to leave that game engine and will now be using Godot. Godot, I hope I'm saying it right. And conveniently, Humble Bundle have a deal at the moment. I'll type the command in chat. But I think it's like for something like $44, you can get access to pretty much all of these paid mods, because it's a free software, but they've got a lot more included in the deal. I've got it, there we go, up on screen now. Everything you need. So 1,542 Australian dollars worth of value for $44.50, and you can donate more if you want to tip us more, and also for charity. I think their charity this time is for Girls Who Code, so a good charity there. But yeah, a lot of good stuff in there. If you're into that sort of stuff, folks, just want to dabble in it. You know, $44, that's not even a AAA game there, and you can get all of that. So if that doesn't interest you, we've also got a link in our supporters section in chat where you can use that to go to their website, and any purchase you make also helps support us here on the channel as well. So, yeah. Okay. Shilling over and done with for that sponsor. Thank you very much, Humble Bundle. The next topic, let me just make sure that I'm on the right one. Yep. Okay. Reddit DayZ. Zombie Madness. Now, I was on there the other day. I don't go there too often. But I don't. I think this one might have popped up as an alert for me or something. But there was a bit of a. I took it as being a bit of a salty comment. But I'll put it up on screen now. Viewbotting, clickbait titles, and bot comments is the norm for DayZ videos. And I'll say it because this is there, but called out Nazar, JLK, and Cairo. Take advantage of all three of these to make these scripted types of videos. This is just a cheap way to make money. They know exactly how to milk views, as they have been doing it for years. You saw this one as well, didn't you, Cobra?
Yeah, I think. So where do I start on this one? So I'm also on Reddit, and I read that, and I was like, oh, shite, Nazar, JLK, whoever else is mentioned, they're not going to like the look of that. So, but look, at the end of the day, look, content creation is quite simple. It isn't just about thumbnails and titles anymore, but if your thumbnail doesn't look great and popping, you're probably not going to get as many hits. And with regards to the titles, we all know, we're all fed up of, I've used them myself, for goodness sake. We all know that there are certain titles that bloody work and certain ones that don't. And if you try something new, and I've done it many times, you get less hits. So look, you can understand why people do it. I think the only thing there that I disagree with, because we know JLK, you know, we've looked at Cairo before, Nazar, I think we've made contact with. I think you know Nazar anyway. I think I've had a conversation with him in the past. The only thing out of those bits there, if I'm putting myself in their boots, you've got in the same sentence scripted videos. So I know for a fact that those people have put a lot of time and effort into their videos like I do. And we're talking a week to 2 weeks worth of editing, by the way. So look, everyone's entitled to their opinions and their views, but I don't think it's right to put out scripted videos and mention people's names unless you know for a fact that that is scripted. I mean,
you summed it up there, and there's a lot to unpack in this message. I took this as salty, and I told this person, I think you're being salty. You just don't like them for whatever reason, which you're 100% entitled to. You know, if you don't like someone, so be it. But there's so much shade being thrown here, Shawshank. The accusation of scripted type videos, view botting, bot comments, cheap revenue raking. Yeah, I when I responded to the guy, I looked at JLK because JLK is someone who I've interviewed in the past, and I just had a chat with him just yesterday, I think it was, and he made a big mistake many years ago that he again reiterated to me yesterday. I wish I could go back in time and fucking undo that. It was stupid of me, but without proof, you can guess, and I don't know unless I go to JLK's house and sit down at his computer and go through his bank account details and all of his invoices to see whether he's ever paid for view bodyguards. He could be the same as some of these names down here, TRMZ, South Sweet, Freshborns, could all also be doing it. You just can't tell. You can have a good idea, but unless you've got 100% concrete proof, Shawshank, it's impossible to find. Even Smoke could be doing it. I highly doubt it. I would be stunned if I found out Smoke was doing something like that. But I could be doing it right now with my 29 viewers. I could be view botting 20 of you. But unless to say stuff like this, it just struck me as salt for salt's sake. I don't like these guys. I don't like their type of content. I find it cheesy, so I'm going to shit on their parade and throw shade. What do you think of it, Shawshank?
I think it's kind of shaking the beehive where you don't need to shake it. Honestly, these guys, I watch them all the time, pretty much everyone that you've mentioned. And who cares if they are or if they're not? Like the content is amusing to watch in the first place. They're great guys. So I choose to support them by watching the content. And so whether that's fake at the end of the day, whether it's view bots, scripts, like you said, who knows, honestly. And so we can definitely prove that and say in a matter of fact that they are doing that or they're not. It's kind of none of our business.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there that I could say. For instance, there is a way. I'll very briefly touch on this. There is a way to work out some of this, and it's very simple. Me and Boydy had a chat about this during the week, right? If you've got a channel that has got, let's just say, 100k subs on your channel, right? And you're routinely putting videos out, you're hitting the algorithm, but yet you're only getting 20k views every week, every time you put a video out. Now, let me tell you this, that's something to be careful of. If you see that, then something isn't quite right there. The other thing is this, YouTube daily, if you look at their policies and their updates for the last 6 to 8 months, they are writing off and banning accounts every day, hundreds of accounts that have got bot viewed, anything to do with bots in it. Now, I'm not being funny, but you're talking about 3 of the biggest artists there. They're all on over 100k's worth of subs. JLK's over 700k. Nazar's on nearly 500, I think he's on now, right? So that is a massive, massive loss. Can you imagine if you're silly enough to pay, $100, $200, whatever it is, to pay for these bots? You've lost a lot of money. Your channel's gone. Why would you do that? When it comes to the scripting thing, that's the bot thing, right? You've got to be stupid to use the bots. That's the first thing. Secondly, when it comes to the scripted thing, all I'm going to say on this is this, right? I get comments all the time. Every content creator, I see Felicity's in here, Facility's in here even. I was speaking to him a little while ago. He gets it. We all get it. And there are always going to be 3, 4, 5 comments on your video saying, this is just scripted, or it's the worst scripted video.
Everything gets accused of it. Yeah, it's
everything. Every day, you get it. But at the end of the day, if you don't get those comments, that's when you need to think about it. That's when you're doing something wrong. So
you're cheating, you're hacking, you're this, you're that. It's salty. Salt. So
that's my view anyway.
Yeah. And honestly, I pointed out to this guy that JLK has released 7 videos this year. You compare that to the streamers who, and this is not throwing shade at them, it's just a different style. Horses for courses. Some of these people, they're streaming every day or 5-6 days a week. And then some of them are good enough, like Paul, the running man, he has an editor, Cooper, who does his stuff. But then there's others who are just grinding it themselves. they're doing their stream for their 6 to 10 hours a day, and then jumping off, remembering the bit that was interesting, and they whack up a quick video of it and put that up, making a few shorts from it, and some of them are uploading the entire VOD. They delist it from Twitch and put it up there. So that's, some people would call that lazy content. I don't. I just call it content. As long as you're entertained. Someone mentioned that name, Frankie on PC. We found out, afterwards, a lot of his content was scripted.
But it doesn't matter, mate.
I look back and I go, oh, okay.
How many millions?
But I still enjoyed it.
Good time. Yeah,
I still enjoy it. And I still go back and I watch it for that iconic intro music of his. It's just, oh man, it was so disappointing here. But I summed it up with: don't be a gatekeeper. Let people play how they want, make good content how they want, and just have fun. If they are cheating, though, let me know. We're hearing some rumors of stuff, but without concrete evidence, I'm not going to discuss any accusations that get sent to me without concrete evidence. Yeah.
And
be better.
I think the biggest
Shawshank, I'll let you finish it, mate. Yeah.
So I think it's like, no matter what, at the end of the day, especially with people like JLK, they create content that puts this story in your mind and makes you want to hop back on to a game of this age. You know, they always keep it fresh with these ideas. And even if it is scripted, it's entertaining and it gets people back into, the story mode of DayZ. Like, oh, I kind of want to hop back on and experience something and the likes of that. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and these guys are also making big videos. They're not doing short 10 to 20-minute videos. These ones, of nearly everyone he mentioned, they're 40 to 60-minute epic adventures. Half of a fucking AAA movie that you go to watch. So they've got to have either an amazing artistic ability to create a good storyline that gets you to watch 60 minutes. And in today's TikTok generation, anything past 60 seconds, keeping their attention span is pretty damned awesome. So... yeah, I downvoted this guy. I think that means it's a downvote the way that it was blue, but I don't know. I don't do Reddit that much, which is probably why I'm still sane. But yeah, bit disappointing. But let's move on. Let's move on. My rant of the week: why people quit DayZ. He's in chat, or he was before, folks. Always streams. I have to confess, my last video was scripted. Your last video was good. Did you watch it, Shawshank?
Yeah, he is actually a super big inspiration as to Camp Carnivore as well. And I did watch his last video, and he does make a bunch of valid points.
I loved his video, but for me, I think the biggest factor, Cobra, was that whole people don't know what to do, people die too much, and then they just, why bother? I can, we're trying to segueing to the previous point, but people have limited time. He touched on it in the video. DayZ is a time-intensive game. You can, there's not many servers you can jump on for 20 to 30 minutes and jump off again unless you're playing a deathmatch server. So a game like DayZ is always going to struggle. As Dean Hall called it back in the day, it's the anti-game. And so many of his factors all were kind of related in that it's a hard, unforgiving, doesn't hold your hand game. It's its own worst enemy, but that's what makes DayZ, and that's why so many of us love it. Your thoughts, Cobra?
Well, I mean, it's quite simple, isn't it? I always I get on well with all his streams. I love what he does. We've had quite a few chats in the past. Look, at the end of the day, it's exactly the same thing that I always say. I get some people don't have a lot of time, but at the end of it, if you want to be good at the game, tough shit. You've got to put in the hours to get good at the game. And if you don't like it, then don't play it. That's just as simple as that. But look, that's why lots of people like Marks is in chat, always is in chat, Archie when he's here, myself. We all do tutorials to help you. So go check them all out. If you want a 10-minute tutorial on where you're going wrong, check any of the content creators out. You're going to find tutorials. It's as simple as putting in the exact problem you've got in YouTube with DayZ next to it. You'll find one. Watch it. Then play a bit differently. It's that simple. But he's right.
Yeah, 100%. It was a great video. There's a little bit of quirky humor in there. I love listening to his videos. We were talking about you before the stream. Cobra reckons you sound like everyone knows Dave. I think you sound a bit like...
The first part of his intro...
Oh, yes, okay, yes.
The first part of your intro, I was like, hold on a minute, is that everyone knows Dave talking instead of bloody Always? And then he moves on a little bit, and then you hear the normal Always Streams voice. Bo, mate, you sound just like Always Know.
I don't know. I think he sounds a bit like Skullspeeder. Has anyone ever seen him in the same Discord together? I'm just wondering whether this is like Skullspeeder's alter account.
Alter ego. Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe Always Streams is doing an alter ego as Skullspeeder. Maybe, what came first, Skullspeeder or Always Streams? Oh, we need to look into this. Conspiracy theory, tinfoil hats on. But yeah, no, great video, mate. And you summed it up very, very well for so many reasons why. But just, yeah, like Cobra said, get better. That's the thing with DayZ. There are resources out there, but I was discussing this with someone that it is part of the issue is that for people to get better at DayZ, they've got to go to third-party stuff. DayZ doesn't have anything that tells you how to play the game. Even you've got to go to YouTube. You've got to go to Wobos' website. You've got to go to DayZ Wiki. There's nothing. There's no inherent proprietary tool provided by Bohemia that explains the game. So, you know, is that a weakness? Potentially, but at the same time, it's part of what makes DayZ special and unique, Shawshank. Oh, he's muted himself. So, yeah. I know he's
Sorry,
unmuted.
fixing my internet over here. It's raining in California, which is pretty rare. Making a lot of racket. Could you repeat that question one more time?
Oh, no, it was more of just a statement that part of what makes DayZ unique is that there is no inbuilt tool of, so there's no tutorial mode. You've got to go to third-party stuff. So it's a weakness, but it's also its strength.
Yeah, and kind of like Always Streams kind of put it in his last video, the starting out fresh, working your way up into a seasoned player without any sort of direction is a feat in and of itself that kind of makes DayZ its own special animal, because you kind of you're given this entity and you're like, okay, do whatever you will with it with no instruction. You kind of got to figure it out on your own, and you know, people either love it or it turns them off at the game.
Yep, it does. It does. Okay, mini spotlight with Cobra.
Okay, right. This week, right. This is an interesting one, all right. I've had a guy in my Discord for about a year. His name is Finn, and he is a brand new content creator. So I've been keeping a little eye on his video. He's always posting in my self-promo tab over in Discord. And I kept a little eye on what he's been up to. And I'll tell you what, his videos have got better and better and better every time he's put a video out. He's on 1.5 subs, so he's just been 1.5k subs. So he's just been monetized recently.
Look at this cinematics he's got in the intro of his video, mate.
He's doing a really good job. I have given him some pointers, but ultimately he's doing really, really well. And I'll tell you what, I think it says everything when I, as a content creator myself, is sit and watch his entire video. I mean, from start to finish, he's actually doing a really good job. So that is my spotlight, content creator spotlight of the week, is my man Finn. Go check his stuff out.
I mean, clearly he's scripting with this sort of cinematic effort, mate. So
we all have to script. We all have to script on cinematic.
This is what we're talking about, folks. Look at the effort he's going into. This is what sets average content apart from great content. And it's one of the things I love about those names that got thrown out there before, but this becomes immersive. This keeps your attention. This, it's so well done. Yeah, well, I love it. I love this stuff.
I'm gonna give everyone that doesn't know. So all content creators right now, you can skip this bit because you know this already. If you have just seen this little intro, go back and watch it again. And the kind of skill here is this. It's not just zoom in camera angle. All right, I learned this about 2 years ago. It's zoom out in one shot, zoom in another shot, left to right, in another shot, right to left, in another shot. It's the detail, it's the color, it's the light, it's everything. And you have to practice a hell of a lot to be able to do good cinematics. It's something that I've spent 2 years doing.
It's insane. Well. Yeah, like, I still don't think he's at the top of the game when it comes to this. No,
he's got a way to go.
But his skills are, mate. If that was me in the camera, we would be literally. You guys would be probably vomiting from nausea, motion sickness of me trying to control it. Whereas this is smooth.
Look at this here, right? If you've just seen the camera angle on that snow piece there move, that is difficult to do. That's a mouse control camera movement. And any slight deviation, even the slightest deviation, you're messing that up. You're messing the whole shot up, right? He's going a bit too fast here for my liking. He needs to slow that down. But ultimately, the thing for me is he's getting better and better every time he puts a video out. So there is my content creator of the week. Well done, my man. Keep pumping it. You're looking good.
Let me just get his YouTube channel. I'll hit subscribe on our channel as well. And I will share this in chat for you all. Go check it out. It's great seeing these people doing stuff. There's nothing wrong with emulating someone who you take inspiration from. But yeah, that's quality content right there, folks. He's putting work into it, so that's got to be respected. And give him feedback in the comments as well. As long as you don't just go shit video, bro. Give him feedback.
And that's the thing.
Yeah,
the actual video is very good as well. The storyline, again, he's been working. I mean, we've had quite a few conversations over the past year. We've had a couple of conversations, and I've kind of helped him point him in the right direction with a few things. But he's taken it on board, and the actual storyline to that particular video is actually very good. So check it out. Let us know what you think.
Skull Speeder, there's a video idea for you, mate. How to better control the camera in DayZ Editor and things like that for cinematics and stuff like that. You probably know some people who might be able to give you some tips as well. But yeah, there are some people who are masterful. One of my favorite of all time is Jonathan Chinaris. Jonathan Chinaris, he's got a great knack of picking the right music. But yeah, good shout out this week there, Cobra. Another sponsor segment, our other partner that we are teamed up with is Lid Hosting. If you're looking for an EU-based server, sick of providers who don't understand our game, check out Lid Hosting. I need to fix that graphic because that is really poor quality, but give us feedback on these graphics that are popping up, folks. We're trying to improve things around here a bit, but let me just bring up their website. The guy who owns Lid Hosting is actually a DayZ modder. He's not like a massive modder by the likes of an Inclement Dab or a Dewan and Lad and all the rest of the legends, Tyson, Hunter, and so on. But he's done it before, and he knows our game, the game that we all love, DayZ, as well as other games. So they've got an offer at the moment. There's their pricing, 30 slot, 40 slot, 60 slot, 80 slot, 100 slot service, and you can do custom service, automation of tasks, help installing mods and maps, migration of your server to our services, automatic backups to Finland, advanced support via Discord, documentation included. The stuff I liked was down here. They're offering a discount for people who are from G Portal and Zap Hosting. Use code DayZ20 at checkout, and they also give you a 72-hour trial period. So if you're not happy with your current provider and you want to see if you can get a better effort, What have you got to lose? Hit him up, have a try, and if it works out, go for gold. In our chat right now is our link. If you use it, you help support us a bit, and you know they're supporting us as well. That's part of the reason why I'm doing this. Have a look up the top here what he's got. Connect to 87.8 Survivor FM to stay informed about the latest news. Bro, mwah, big love. He's a good bloke. I see him on there giving our mate, Everyone Knows Dave. If you're looking for service in the UK, hit up Dave. Everyone knows Dave. But yeah, giving him advice as well, because Dave's just set up his own hosting services, and he's doing the Bitterroot services servers at the moment. So a couple of options there for you. Obviously, check out Lid Hosting, proud supporter of 87.8 and what we do here, and hopefully it'll help us get some more money in to do things with the show in the future. Quick shout out as well. I just saw that Matty Ice on Twitter announced that the Bitterroot playtest is going to be extended to, I think he said, the 8th of October as well. So that's fantastic. Make sure you check out the Australian server. Had a lovely comment in the Discord this morning, Cobra, to wake up to. He added a message just letting people know. It just pops up, you know, the usual server automated messages. There's no big stuff in game or anything like that, but just saying that the Aussie server is brought to you by 87.8 Survivor FM. And someone joined the server and said, thank you for doing it. We haven't had a huge pop on it, but I don't care. I just wanted to be able to play Bitterroot with a decent ping, and that's why I set the server up, because I know there's other Aussies who feel the same. I know some people will still play the overseas servers for the higher pop. Some of us, so high pop doesn't mean everything. We just want to be able to play with a decent ping. So that's why this community exists, folks, so we can do things like this to support the DayZ community.
There you go.
Archie, he was meant to be on this morning, so I haven't had time to remove this. We were going to do his segment now, but yeah, hopefully we'll maybe see Archie in the future once he's got his stuff sorted and that. But all the best, mate. Much love. Yeah. Our mod spotlight of the week. This mod's been around for a while. I'm really sorry to do this to you, Shawshank. This is going to make you cry, mate.
Yeah,
I feel bad for highlighting a PC mod. I should have probably thought about this better. But
no, it's okay.
I can't not highlight this mod, mate. I've been playing on a Lux map, which is an amazing jungle map. If you haven't checked it out, have you played it yet, Cobra? Lux?
Yeah, I've been on there. Yeah.
Oh God, it's so good. Completely different. Yeah. Completely different vibe. There's barely a single tree from or plant from OG DayZ in it. It's all custom. But yeah, they had this storage mod, and I'd never seen it before. I don't know how I hadn't seen it before, but look at this stuff, man.
Yeah, some crazy stuff, man.
These are beautiful. They look like something a survivor would actually craft.
Those look amazing.
Everything, like there's different tiers of it. Like this one here, if you add another pallet to it, becomes this one. A bigger storage. Yeah. And then you can create these little crates that go in there to increase the amount of storage within the storage item. Then you've got, let me scroll back to the beginning. So, God, I wish this worked where I could just, then press an arrow and go between them. But so there's the tables. The table's a bit of a funny one because it doesn't really seem to hold anything, but it just looks visually okay. The glass table there, the glass top table, I don't know where the piece of glass comes from, but suspension of disbelief. You can store a few items in there and they're visible. And then that's the stage, that's stage one, I think, or that's stage one, that's stage two, that's stage three. So it's kind of weird how stage one has storage and the other ones lose it. But I know he's taking a break at the moment. But you've got these couches that you can craft as well. Water collector. These were the ones I loved the most. So he's got these little things, and these actually glow, which is, again, suspension of disbelief. But there's nothing worse than I am a base bitch. I love my bases, as everyone knows. One of the things I hate the most, though, is there's no way of labeling, the crates and that in the game in vanilla DayZ. And even most mods just have the storage, and you've got to try to remember what's in each box. With this one, there's a little piece of up here. You can see it. All you got to do is put a piece of paper on whatever relates to it. And then this, like you got this symbol here. This is for trading. This is for explosives. This is for, and this is the one I love the most, because I'm whenever I do a base, I'm the base bitch. I tell all my guys, just drop your loot off in this container and I'll sort it for you later. You guys just do your thing and have fun. Me, I'm happy just sorting through the loot. This box here is loot in. So I put one of those near the entry where the cars are and stuff like that. And then whenever I log on, I go over there, look at what they've got in there, grab the all the boom, all the explosives, and then I move that to the explosives box hidden further inside the base. Food, planting, ammo, first aid, weapons, weapon parts, tools. It's got everything. It is just such a good mod. And then there's still even other items. You've got these beds, so you can lay down if you're on a server that has the needing to sleep thing. These old rusty refrigerators. You've got a nice little setup like that. The cooking stove is brilliant. That's not something that's out of most people's capacity to be able to knock together a barrel with a stovepipe going out of the house. Most of us could probably fumble our way through that IRL, couldn't we, Cobra?
Yeah, we'd be good with that, mate. It's nice and simple. It looks. I've not seen this before, to be fair, but it looks. It looks nice. It looks good.
This is the other one that sold me on the server. So you've got a workbench for crafting, which is good. It's got a piece of paper on the desk that gives you the recipes for what you need to be able to make something, which is quite useful. But it's this tool over here, the repairing bench. This is a brilliant mod, Cobra and Shawshank. What it does is, if you look closely at the repair bench, you can see there's a sewing kit, a leather repair kit, an electrical kit, a weapon cleaning kit, a sharpening stone, a tire repair kit, and somewhere on there as well, I think that might be that little thing there, is a epoxy. It improves the durability of any tool you're using, of any repair item you're using. So instead of taking 25%, I think it only takes 10% of the item. Plus, because you're doing it in a workshop, it gives you the opportunity to repair things to pristine.
So is that you dump the item into the inventory and it automatically does it, or is this
all you do is hold the item in your hand, look at the workbench, and hold F to repair.
It does it for you.
And it will repair via each stage.
Yeah, normal way of repairing. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I've seen other mods. I think it was Hunter's Eagle, Tyson's got one for the weapons, where you attach the weapon to the vice, basically, to the rack and that's amazing. And that would be good for this as well. If you attached it, you've got the power bench there. If you could power it up to sharpen tools and all the rest of it, but just a really good immersive mod. It looks like it's made from stuff in the game. What do you think of a Shawshank?
To be honest, pretty jealous.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am sorry, mate.
Yeah, no, it's actually it's cool to see just the creativity people still have for this game that's so old. They're still coming up with things like this that just make you go, wow, like, can't believe somebody thought about that.
Yeah, it's amazing. The vending machines were pretty cool as well. So he's got the vending machine where you can fill it full of snacks from the game and also the coffee machine. And if you're a lover of coffee like I am, you can find coffee beans. You fill the machine up with water and you press a button on it and it makes this noise and it spits you out a cup of coffee. Again, totally useless. That doesn't do anything for your skills in the game, but it was just, I kind of like that old schooly 1950s era coffee time graphic on it as well. It was just, yeah.
That's awesome.
A couple of other things for server owners, a more immersive looking supply drop there. and that. And the last one was he's got a solar panel as well, which is a bit of a stock standard for a lot of these sort of mods, but an absolutely brilliant mod, folks. I will share the link to that in chat. But yeah, Johnny Bravo's just said in chat there, he does amazing stuff. He's got some more mods there. I did reach out to him and he said, yeah, I'm just taking a break from the moment. About the only thing I'd love to see is an ability to upgrade some of that stuff with metal to make it a bit harder to maybe break into and be able to be lockable, Cobra, with a code lock, a combo lock. You know, that'd be the perfect thing for some of those containers. Just whack a combo lock through it. So then people are going to break into it. But other than that, one of the best storage mods I've seen in a long time, Cobra. So yeah.
Yeah, it looks good, mate. It's probably on par with the MMG, isn't it?
MMG is very, very different because they're more. For me, the seller with this one is it's more immersive. MMG, from memory, is more like it's an IKEA flat pack sort of item, as opposed to something that you've crafted yourself. I think there's capacity for both, but I personally love craftable items. Please, DayZ, give us more, especially for the poor buggers on console. Can't you hear Shawshank crying right now? This time your time to cry now, Shawshank. I know, Shawshank. It's like we're working, mate. We're doing. Okay, go. I know, Shawshank. It's good, buddy.
Yeah, eventually, one can hope.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are done for this week. We didn't actually go much longer than only about 5 or so minutes past. I'm surprised. I thought it was going to be a hell of a lot longer. Probably because Archie's not here. That guy can fucking talk, can't he? Individual spotlights. Now, I don't know whether you knew this about a Shawshank. One thing we like to do every week is talk. Oh, sorry. No, I have forgotten. We have a new segment that we need to do at the end of it. And this is a shout out to you all to go to our YouTube channel. Let me bring it up. We're going to be doing more of these, and I've teamed up with the folks over at DayZ Wiki. What we're going to be doing is some surveys, some quizzes on our community tab. So make sure you've got alerts up, but here's one here for you. Ah, God, I'm giving away the answer, aren't I? There you go. So what will be the case is we'll do a poll. And I'll post one tomorrow. Lazian's talking with the rest of the team over there, but we're going to use the DayZ Wiki as the benchmark for where we go to get the information. And if they're wrong, that's on them. Shame on them. But a simple one like this, to craft a wooden crate, what do you need? And as you can see, some people got it wrong. We had 57 answers. The correct answer was 8 planks and 16 nails. So the wooden crate is crafted in a crafted storage container, yada yada yada, and then we link to the DayZ Wiki. Part of the reason why we're doing it is we want to remind people that this amazing tool exists. Do you use it much, Shawshank?
Oh yeah, all the time. I think it's a great resource. Almost they should include it in the actual DayZ menu itself.
Yeah.
With how good they have it.
If we go back to what we were talking about earlier, Shawshank, that could be a good, but I know they're always wary of teeing up with external things that aren't part of them. But I think the DayZ Wiki's kind of okay. I think they're gonna. It's not like you're teaming up with 87.8 and all the horrible people there. I think the DayZ Wiki's a fairly safe place where you're not going to get anything too controversial. But they've got a lot of good info on their website, guys. So check them out, give them some support. And if you like this sort of stuff, they're always looking for people to help them with updating the stuff. We'll make sure we've got a link to some of their stuff, but on the website, you can sign in, you can register, links to their Discords and all the rest of it. So yeah, check them out, give them some support. But yeah, we're going to be doing that every week now. A different question. It won't always be something as simple as that. It might be something about, when did this get released, or who knows? We're working with them. they're going to come up with the questions, and yeah, something to make the show a bit more interactive with for a bit of fun and shenanigans. So now we are on to the individual spotlights. So Shawshank, what is something that you would like everyone to know about, DayZ related, or even if it's not DayZ related? It's your time to talk about something that you would like us to be aware of.
Yeah, well, besides running Camp Carnivore, I do my own content on the side for cars mostly. Quick shout out for myself if I'm allowed to do
What's
that.
your channel?
Yeah, so it's going to be an Instagram. It'll be Niskro Media.
Could you send it to me as a DM, and I'll share it in chat?
Definitely.
What sort of cars?
So I mostly do modified cars, things of that sort. I film a little bit as well.
Or...
Yep, street modified.
Are we talking the bouncy cars that you see in all the American movies and that?
No, not quite. These ones are more of like the Japanese, Euros, things of that sort. And kind of talking with my buddy DayZ Hub, also Hubert, that's also in the chat. Kind of got me back into making cinematic stuff, except in real life instead of DayZ. So shout out to him.
Yeah, basically. There we go. Hey, you do like those old rice burners, mate.
I do. Yep. So a little bit of a shameless plug on that. That's been my source of income when I was unemployed, and now it's going back to a hobby. Thankfully, because hobbies can turn into jobs, and then. So that's a Tesla. Yeah, that's a Tesla.
You made a Tesla look cool. Okay, oh yeah, I see all the hashtags there.
Yeah.
Bouncy cars. I don't do this deliberately, say these things. This is genuinely how I think, guys. I am a boomer idiot, and I say stupid shit. I do. That actually makes a Tesla look cool. I'm not a fan of Teslas. I think they're very boring looking cars, but that's actually kind of, yeah. Oh wow! I didn't know you could do that to them.
I know, right? It's pretty crazy what people can come up with these days.
That's more my style right there. The good old classic Porsche look. Porsche 911.
Yeah, those guys are great. That was taken on a cruise that we did.
Such a sexy car. Where my young fella works at a gun store here in Brisbane, every first Saturday morning, they do a car sort of, I don't know what you call it, rally, where people just drive their, tricked out cars around, and it's quite funny. I did get to see one of them crash at a fairly high speed because he overestimated his driving ability on wet roads and went straight into a pole. No one got hurt, thankfully, but yeah, it was. Drive safe. It's great to have a good car and all, but drive safe, folks. You only live once, so they say. So take care when you're in these cars. It's great. Go find a good track or something like that, or do it in a controlled environment where there's people around who can help you if you need it. But yeah, that's some nice artwork there, isn't it? Are you a car man, Cobra?
I can appreciate a decent vehicle, mate, but no, I'm not very good with my hands in terms of vehicles. So
you want something broken? Ask me to fix it.
Yeah, don't ask me to fix the car, mate. I will mess it even more. So
I've actually got my Navara going in for repairs. Finally, it's been off the road for over a year because we just haven't been able to afford to get it fixed. But we're finally able. We've been saving up, and we're finally able to do it. It's going to be about $5,500 to turbo broke in it, and they're not cheap because it's not just a turbo. But are you like a legit car man, Shawshank? You understand all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, for the most part. I work at a off-road shop where we build custom like
Oh.
Jeeps and trucks and things of that sort. But
You know the Nissan Navaras?
yeah, those things are pretty cool. We don't have them over here.
Mine's the old 2012, 2013 models, but the parent. A lot of people say that those are better than the current ones, just because I got the top of the line one, the STX 550 D40 dual cab, and what do they call stump pullers. When a car is that good, it was four-wheel drive. But we were driving along one day and we just heard this bang noise, and then it just was gutless, and it was because it's a turbo diesel, and the turbo diesel had died, and they said that's an expensive part to replace. I managed to find someone who can. Initially, we got quoted nearly 8,000 Aussie dollars, which would probably be about 5,000 your money. But we've had a guy say he can do it for about 5.5. But the sad part is, because it's been off the road for over a year now, it's probably going to need a really good service as well. All the fuel drained, oil. So but I'm excited. I'm like you, Cobra. I'm a forward drive man, mate. I like manly cars.
Right.
Yeah, I guess. So.
Cobra, what about you? What's your shout out for the week, mate?
So this is a little bit more of a personal and a serious one. So my shout out this week is something that affects a lot of people, whether you're veterans, army, ex-army, or police, fire brigade services, and that is PTSD. So I'm actually a sufferer of it myself in my service in my time. But just a couple of little facts for you. Last year, in where I come from over here in the UK, there were 6,169 reported deaths from people in England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So they're the regions that make up the United Kingdom in terms of male/stroke female deaths via suicide due to PTSD. And approximately 27% of people who've had a diagnosis of PTSD have attempted suicide at some point in their life. It's a massive thing for a lot of us. I think if we even know somebody, or whether it's our parents, grandparents, whether it's ourselves, maybe even our children, if you're unfortunate enough for that. But it's something that's close to me and my heart. So I think all of those type of charities that help people in that regard, and also a bit of thought for someone. I see a lot of people these days in our Discords, again, DayZ Discords I'm talking as well, that have a mental health little tab. I'm seeing that come up a lot now. And that's great to see, by the way, because we don't know what people have experienced or suffered or actually suffering at this moment in time when you get into a conversation on Discord or whatever else, or even in DayZ. So, so that's my shout out for this week, to build a bit more awareness around it.
Maybe that explains why we get along so well, Cobra. We're both as fucked up as each other, because I don't make a big deal about it, but I do admit it. I also have PTSD, anxiety, depression, and it's not just what happens up here in your head, folks, but it's the effects it can have on your body. Part of the reason why a lot of us live in denial that we've got it. When I got out of the army, I used to think everyone else was fucked up. Just a bunch of weak country boys and all the rest of it. And then it took a long time. And threats of my missus basically saying, if you don't fix your shit, I'll fucking leave you. For me to finally realize that the problem wasn't everyone else. The problem actually was me. And it's important to understand that you're not bad. You're not even really broken. I'm more talking about, this kind of applies to everyone who suffers from it. You're a victim, or you're a result of what you went through. And the military in particular does a lot to change your mindset. I'm going to share a video in chat right now that is right along this topic. And it's called "You're Not in the Forces Now." And this is more aimed at our military brothers and sisters out there. The Australian Army, as well as pretty much all armies, are very good at breaking you down to make you into a soldier. And breaking you down it's kind of a horrible term, but they kind of have to do it. And this video talks about why, because essentially what you're doing is you're having to remove a fight or flight instinct. And some of you may think that I'm quite an aggressive person, the way I burr up at people at times. That's a result of my training. Flight is not really an option for me when it comes to a lot of things. I get my back up quite easy, especially when someone goes after people I love or something I love. I see, Cobra, you've got a bit of a wry smile on your face because it's kind of music to your ears.
I'm the one that has to fucking calm you down, mate. That's the situation with you, isn't it?
But it's, you know, I did almost 10 years. I talk about my time quite a bit. You know, here we go, DayZ Bingo. I did active service overseas. The shit I saw still haunts me to this fucking day. And, you know, the minute you said the word PTSD, I felt my eyes welling up. It's weird the effect it has on you. But if you know someone who served, if you served yourself, or you know someone who is having struggles because of their service, I encourage you, get them to watch this video. It was an Australian video designed and aimed at Vietnam veterans, but the way he talks about it, the psychology behind it, the science behind PTSD, the analogy with a glass of water. You've got a glass of water like this. Most of you operate down here with stress levels through the day. Admittedly, the last 4 to 6 years have probably got everyone up around about here. But this glass of water is how much stress before you hit fight or flight. What the military does to people is it gets us up to around about here all the time. So we're constantly resting, but we're pretty good at managing it. But when we hit up here, we explode. And when you're not in the military anymore, it's kind of hard, when you're not in the combat zone, kind of hard to, well, what do I do when I explode? And we're trained to controlled aggression and explosive aggression. And one of the things that for me was the trigger was my missus saying to me, "You're not normal." And I went, "What do you mean?" She goes, "I had a road rage incident. A bloke cut me off. And I exploded in anger, and I was swearing, I was abusing, and then I went back to normal." And I was like, "Anyway, what were we talking about?" She's halfway ready to jump out of the fucking car because I was that fucking psycho. And she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "What's the matter?" And she goes, "You can't do that." And I went, "You can't do what?" She goes, "You can't go from 0 to 100 and then back to 0.
And this is the thing. A lot of this, I mean, I'm in a different place now. I've had a lot of therapy. I've had a lot of stuff called EMDR sessions. I've been serving 20 years. For me,
Medication.
I'm just about to retire now. So for me, it's been a journey. But I'm hopefully coming out the other side of that. But like I say, it affects everybody. It affects lots of people that have had to go and see some bad shit.
The important thing is, you've got to realize it's not just about you, it's about those around you who you love. And that's what got me to change. The impact I was having on my missus and my son, which is to my shame, was one of the biggest factors of why I am medicated. I take, for those of you who understand, at one point there, whilst I've been doing this show, believe it or not, I was on 40 milligrams of Lexapro. And if you understand Lexapro, that's a fucking shit ton of Lexapro. I'm down to 10 milligrams a day now. And I was doing Lexapro in the morning, risperidone at night, because I was that unbalanced. It took me a long time to get to the point, and I'm still a very emotional person. Wow.
Me too.
Boydy's emotional. You actually don't portray it. You're better at controlling your emotions than I am, Cobra. But yeah,
it's taken a long time to get there, mate. It's taken a long time to get there. Plus, the sleeping is an issue. Sleeping is an absolute nightmare. Flashbacks and stuff like that.
Lately, mate. So bad.
But anyway, that was just my little. I think it's really important. I think we do need to hit a little bit more on these type of things.
And our boy Cinnamon in chat there, he's a big advocate of it as well with his Steady Your Nerve campaign that he runs on his channel. Go check him out. Mental health, talk about it, folks. There's nothing wrong with having a cry. If you need to have a cry, and there's always someone out there. I'm always available for a chat. When I'm not being a spurg on bloody Reddit and Twitter and upsetting people, I think I've generally got a pretty good opinion on a lot of stuff, and I do genuinely care. I just reached out to someone again today. Just I hadn't heard from him in a while. Say g'day. Are you okay? All the rest of that sort of stuff. Good shout out. Good shout out. Probably one of the longer spotlights, individual ones. Usually they're short and sharp, but that was a good topic to talk about, mate. Yeah.
Agreed.
My personal shout out for this week is, again, a bit more of a personal one, but I won't say it just yet because I want to actually bring it up because it is such a beautiful moment. Meet Ellie. Congratulations, Cabello Live, the creator of the Banov map. Hi, my name is Ellie. I am 3,450 grams, 52 centimeters tall, and I came into this wonderful world at 3:41 p.m. on the 29th of September. Welcome, little freshborn. So happy to have you. And like I touched on before, being a parent is the greatest achievement that you will ever do in your life. I don't care what else you do, cure cancer, bring world peace, or any of that. Nothing will ever be as important as bringing someone into this world. It should be your be all and end all. You got kids, Shawshank?
I do not.
Plans on it anytime soon?
Some point in the future.
Yeah.
Once finances are a little better down the road.
Very important. If they catch you off guard, like my boy was a pleasant surprise, we like to call him. But we dealt with it, and it made us stronger as a couple. We weren't really ready, but he was just the most.
No one's ever ready, mate. No one's ready for
that. Oh, mate, did you see the video of poor old, speaking of new dad, Amish said getting the shit scared out of him, doing a host on someone, and I actually replied to it on the DayZ Podcast account. Let me see if I can find it.
That was my man Sliverin who's in the chat.
Yeah, that's right. I said, oh God, where is it? Someone did. Like it, but I've actually said that's what happens when you're a new dad. You've got bugger all sleep and frayed nerves, and then it was one of the funniest reactions I've ever seen to it. He literally, his headset come off, his glasses were falling off. It was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. That raid he did. I felt sorry for him because it scared the crap out of him. I wish we had it because it was such a... Oh, here we go. I've got it. Brace yourself, people. This is going to get loud.
Sliverin, you're famous.
Oh my God, Sly. That was so loud, dude. I'm sorry, guys. That was so fucking loud. Jesus Christ.
So, just so that people know, my man Sliverin in the chat.
Delgado. But oh my God, that was the reaction. That is, when you've seen people get fear, Cobra, that's genuine fear. That was someone who final flight mode was definitely in right there.
He's shit himself there.
Are the best. I'm sorry. I am a very, very simple man, Shawshank, in that I love man gets hit and groin by ball sort of humor, and jump scares are right up there for me. But ladies and gentlemen, I think we are done for this week. Our last thing to announce is next week's guest will be Glaz, the king of grubs. Now, this is one of your recommendations, isn't it, Cobra?
I think so, mate. There's so many I brought in. I don't know. I don't know what's going on at the moment.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I checked his channel out before, and it does look quite interesting. So we shall see what he's got to showcase. We've got the link there in chat. Glaze, the king of grubs. Go check him out, folks. And we will see you all next week. Same time, same channel. Check out the Bitterroot server here in Australia. Make sure you're ready for experimental 1.23. As Lad said on Twitter, it's important that people get on and test it, because that way any bugs can get knocked out before it gets released, like the last patch that we won't talk about too much. But yeah. Anyway, all the best, everyone, and we will see you next week on the DayZ Podcast.
Take
Ciao
care.
for now.
See you later.